29. Alva. In my science class, I had heard about the phenomenon of black holes for the first time. I was very interested. Where did people go when they disappeared? My recurring blackouts caused me to feel sadness and loss. Days, months, and years disappeared from me, and I was not allowed to participate in my own life. While I was away, things happened. It was hard to grasp. I would wake up with sores all over my arm, or had gotten older, or had toys on the carpet. My classmates showed me photos that had been taken on a class trip, where I was in the pictures, but I had no idea that there had been a class trip, and that I had gone. One time, I woke up and had brand new furniture, curtains, and pillows in my apartment. Of course, it scared me. It seemed as if everything was wrong, but at the same time, I was completely sane and I was zealously taking responsibility for myself and my life, caring for other people, taking care of hygiene, paying the bills, and getting very upset and angry with myself if I missed something. The truth was that I had spent many years alone in space. That's where I was when I went into the fog, floating like a paper kite somewhere between the moon and the earth. When the earth had shaken, I had ended up there. I was 7 years old and had just lost my twin, a trauma so severe that I lost touch with myself. I was 7 years old in space. I was naked, terrified, curled up with my arms wrapped tightly around my knees. I was frozen with fear, guilt, grief, existential crisis, and did not dare to look around, did not dare to speak, not a word, not a sound. But then I landed back in my body 13 years later in Katrineholm instead of Enköping. I inherited a situation and had to deal with something that happened. Then, sooner or later, I returned to my broken heart, back to my empty space, emotionally frozen in timelessness. From the outside, the picture was clear. A young girl lived there with her cats. She was a bit strange, perhaps, kind of shy and suspicious. The kids next door were in middle school and ate crisp bread with butter and barbecue spices. Mothers folded laundry and fathers got behind the wheel to drive to work, and so on. Refugees were put into integration programs and asked to leave their unpleasant experiences of war behind. The diagnosis of PTSD still needed to be accepted by the Swedish healthcare system. My classmates were excited when she started talking. My teachers praised me for my achievements, but I knew I couldn't feel proud or happy because something was wrong with me. A very black stain had spread on the ceiling above my bed, and I took it as a sign, packed the moving boxes, placed Volley and Vi in their transport cages, and left to escape the darkness and make a life somewhere else, in a place where I could rest and search in the rubble. Actually, space is so beautiful. The universe is a shimmering flare, much like the photographs taken inside a womb. In a tangle of energies we are born. Yes, in space there are two worlds, the one that is and the one that is not. Positive ions and negative ones. Just like humans, those who take as opposed to those who give. The black holes exist, but they are fewer in number. Those who are drawn into a black hole wake up in Wonderland and have to seek out their original elements that were separated by the negative weight of the black hole. Too much negative energy, such as war and genocide, sends out too many negative particles. Everything is connected in some way, and really, nothing can be lost because everything is always there somewhere. I am still here. The sorrows that once shook my soul no longer shake me. Here is everyday life. I have been shopping for a couple of turtlenecks and a couple of new lamps that now light up the corners. I have emailed and texted with acquaintances and bought gingerbread and mulled wine at the grocery store. For a long time I was a prisoner of my traumas, imprisoned and bound. I have fought every day of my life to heal and get home. Was it worth the fight? Of course it was. Of course it is. 30. Bo. We see you, Bo. Don't give up. Don't give up, says the cracks in the ceiling, the angels. The concrete floor becomes so cold that it stings the skin under our feet. Adina wipes away her hunger tears, then sits and stares. Eva lazily combs her fingers through her tangled hair. Lisa has an itch where her skin has become dehydrated and irritated. Judith licks her lips with hunger. She has scabs where she has licked. The lights go out. It's pitch black. We don't know if we are alive or dead. The basement has swallowed us up. In the darkness, everyone is alone with their anxiety, and even though we press ourselves together, we drift apart at the same time. But then Esther begins to sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star in a thin, cracked voice. Those who have the strength sing along in the darkness. The others cry tears that no one will ever see. The heart beats, thump, thump, thump. I hear the sound of my eyelids blinking as the song fades away. He discovers that we have no light and returns with new fluorescent pipes. Then we see how it's like. The hard, thick walls, the dirty mattresses, and the pale, gaunt faces that once belonged to the sisters, but now look strange and sickly. When he has left, Ada gets up and looks around the basement. It is 95 square meters, half of which is taken up by the mattresses and the refrigerator and table. As the light from the fluorescent pipes fades, the basement turns into darkness, where he has his special mattress. We don't see that part of the basement. It doesn't exist. The cold rises from the concrete floor. It's a struggle in itself to never be able to maintain the heat. The hot water in the bathroom comes and goes. If you're lucky, you can get a hot shower. Our hair gets freezing cold before it can dry. We sleep in our winter jackets and beg for blankets and quilts. Now Ada is searching the basement once more. She has done it 7 times already. She analyzes and dissects, creates a plan of action, not giving up, never. He built the basement with shared zeal and rigor. His fanatical hands have gone through every nook and cranny. Ada walks along the uneven, gnarled concrete walls. She runs her eyes from floor to wall to ceiling. In the bathroom there's a narrow yellow vent in the ceiling. Ada has stood there many times and stared up. When we got chairs, she stood on one and reached up to the vent, which she could almost reach. But no, girls' bodies can't get through small bars and air tubes. Perhaps she has missed something, a crack, a hole, a gap, so that on this very day she can get out of our damp, icy captivity. Just today, all evil can end. Just today, she can be warm and snug and full, because there is food out there, things she can eat and give to Bo and all the sisters. There is so much food. Today she will save us. Bit by bit, meter by meter, Ada searches the basement. The floor is insulated with thick plastic film under the concrete, which is of various kinds. Where he has come across it cheaply, blue and plastic over by the toilet, grey and brittle by the door, and yellow under the mattresses. There are no gaps, no cracks. If you hit it, you only hurt yourself. If you stamp on it, nothing happens except that the sound dies. The air disappears. If you scratch the corners with your nails, your fingers start to bleed. The door at the end of the basement staircase is made of reinforced concrete with steel rails. It is soundproofed and double-hitched with a lock that he opens with a piston that looks like a rudder on the outside of the door. The walls have been built in layers of brick, paving slabs, concrete, non-woven fabric, rock wool, and cellular plastic. They are hard and rigid. In the ceiling, where the angels live, he is soundproofed with acoustic panels and covered them with stone wool slats, which he then treated with plaster. There he was a bit hasty, which resulted in the cracks. The bathroom is a hodgepodge of towels and plastic carpet and concrete. The shower drain disappears from us into the open air, but only the spiders and rats in their burrows hear us if we call out. The toilet seat is second-hand. On the sink are 3 broken toothbrushes and a few bottles of shampoo and soap. 5 damp towels hang on hooks. Ada sits tiredly against the wall at the hard floor, and the hard floor makes her seating bones burn. She can't bear to look at me, but I know she's glad I'm there. But another time, I will find my way out. Then I'll set us free, okay? Another day, right, Bo? I'm nodding. We sit there, then we get up, take the steps over the mattresses that are soft even though they are cold and stained. The seconds tick away in the emptiness, in the powerlessness, and we wander with our eyes on the ceiling and draw closer and closer to each other. Then we are in the circle of sisters, grasping each other's hands. Bo's voice is rappy and tinny. Straight through the concrete we are floating. Outside it is winter evening. The air is crisp and big trees' roots are creaking in the frost. But not far away, a fire is burning. In a neighboring house down the street, a gray-haired man is feeding his fire with a log and poking it into the flames with a poker. I take the sisters into the warm room, onto the soft played sofa cushions, the fresh air in the house, the safe atmosphere. And the yellow tongues of the fire, the warm flames sizzling and crackling in the logs, the spicy smell of burning wood, and the smoke wafting through the chimney. A drop of sweat appears on the man's forehead. His knees are warm and his toes glow near the fireplace, and he sighs peacefully. And upstairs there are a darkened room with clean mattresses and bedding. The walls are impregnated with memories of children growing up, playing and learning. There is a satiated peacefulness, and within these walls we fall asleep safely tonight. Chapter 29, 30 comments. I was completely controlled by DAD and my traumas, yet in many situations I could appear perfectly normal. When I was traumatized as a child, I stopped speaking. Whenever these feelings stemming from those traumas resurfaced, I ended up back there. Even though I had my life as a young adult, I was still living in the shadow of the trauma. My 9 sub-personalities were completely trapped and had lost their future. I experienced total absence, like on the school trip, and partial absence when I wasn't really there but saw snippets, like in a film, of what Fredrika in particular was doing. When I wasn't conscious, where was I then? Still on Earth, of course, but also not. A divided consciousness. For 9 years, from the age of 12 to 21, I suffered from anorexia and bulimia. I have written books about this before, and Alva does not address the eating disorder, but I experienced starvation and physical suffering for a long time, and it was a necessary evil because the starvation and the compulsion around food kept the memories at bay. And with the memories came the fragmentation, the shifts, the DAD, which I avoided at all cost. At the start of my illness, anorexia bulimia, my dad kept me captive in a summer cottage. I explored the captivity I have experienced, a prison within a prison within a prison.